Everybody's not on the WhatsApp group and they want to be added to the WhatsApp group.
Is it better to have this light on for the
Please speak to me.
for the video, or ask my producer?
WhatsApp group.
Backlight helps. Maybe Tuesday. 2 weeks. Get someone in
Well, you already have to go.
Yeah, but someone can learn how to use the machine and take care of it.
We'll talk.
I want to watch it from China.
We are in Parak Yud Ches. And we're going till the first 18 prakim, first 17 prakim. We've had some sort of happy Hasidic times here in the Nefesh Hachaim, and some more difficult times. So this is one of the more difficult times, Nefesh Hachaim. And what we need to be mevarer once and for all is what is kares. That's really what he's talking about. What is kares? Rough topic, huh? And is there tshuva for kares? So just before anybody gets nervous, is tshuva for everything. The Rambam says that there's no such thing as an avera that you can't do tshuva. Rambam says in Vorsh. So just keep in mind that anything that we're talking about is shuvable, but I just want to understand the sugya. So let's first do the Nefesh Hachaim. Very good test. This is the Chesed of Hashem Asher Chafetz La'atzidkenu. He wants us to be tzaddikim lahetiv achriseinu te'avo elam haba l'zoisif li'etza. And this HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us a lot of ways of krom v'inyan zeh, and He created life in such a way shekol b'china me'agimel elo tiskasher me'ab'china she'aleha k'dei she'al-yidei zeh yuchol adam lalois liskasher mimata l'mala ma'at ma'at. Thank you. Let me just review quickly what we learned, and that is that the way life works, B'gadol v'yipach ba'apav nishmas chayim. Kadosh Baruch Hu blows breath into our lives, and hence we're alive. But that's not the essence of life on a scientific basis, because God, we don't find, as I said many times, that God blew into the nostrils of rabbits and porcupines and squirrels, and yet they're alive, right? The cat that bothers you outside your house, he's alive. But that alive is a different thing than what we're talking about. We're not talking about that type of alive. We're talking about a certain chiyus of kedusha, where a person is alive, meaning you're connected to the Shaar Shachayim, connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the way that works, he explained in Parak Zayin, and Parak Zayin, Parak Vav. The way he explained is that our bodies, there's really four parts. There's the guf, the body. It's there even after we're not alive any longer. But nefesh is what means alive. Nefesh is alive. So an animal also has a nefesh. All over the chumash. An animal also has a nefesh. But that nefesh, our nefesh, is now hooked up to a source where it's nefesh here, and then ruach here, and then neshama here, and then HaKadosh Baruch Hu there. So the vayipach ba'apav nishmas chayim flows straight into our nefesh. So it's not so much that we have a nefesh, or even the nefesh is breathing. It's that the breathing, that we have within us, all of us have within us, the breath of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Vayipach ba'apav nishmas chayim. This is, and the Nefesh Hachaim, if you recall, gave the example of a glass blower, right? That's the example, which is a beautiful example that he says over and over again, that just like a glass blower is blowing from here, and out here is coming the final product. So the air is going through. So you have nefesh, which is your product, your glass, ruach, which is the windpipe, and neshama, which is where it starts, and the neshama is not God, but the neshama is already a chelik, or hooked up even higher to worlds that we don't understand.
So where does it out get? Is getting it also from the top and circumventing.
Different place. We're going to learn where that comes from. Life. See, because in English you have one word called life, but in Lashon HaKodesh, that's not the word. That's just an English word, life. Alive is not necessarily hooked up.
Really?
Yeah.
How will we fit into this our reality in our face. There's billions of human beings that are animated, alive, thinking, talking. They're not Jews.
Rabbits. They're being alive has nothing to do with our discussion. By the way, it's not to say that those billions of people can't hook up, but I would say they're not necessarily hooked up. So, I mean, to put it, we talked about the glass blowers, which is not in most of our lives unless you happen to visit, the islands off Venice. We're not thinking so much about blowing glass. But let's think about it as somebody who's just hooked up to oxygen, right? And you're getting your air from this source. The difference is that if you don't get your air from the source, then you're dead. But let's say there's two sources. Let's call it Kabbalistically Sidrach or Klipa, whatever you want to call it. It's not right now. It's not important how. If you're not hooked up, you're alive. But what I want to say, which is important, is that alive has nothing to do with what we're talking about. We're not talking about that. What we're talking about when we're talking about alive, we're talking about being hooked up. Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama. And I spoke last week about the fact that it's not an all or nothing deal either, because you can be hooked up. The hooked up has Chazal tell us has 50 strands to be hooked up. Those are the Nun Shari Kedusha and the Nun Shari Tumah. So a person does an Avera, Chas v'Shalom, you can cut a strand. You do 10 Averas, you live up the Averas, Roiv Averas, like Roiv Averas, B'Yitzchuyas. You cut off most of the strands. It doesn't mean that you're not hooked up. You can still be hooked up. So that's why Chazal tell us, and everybody knows, that the Klal Yisrael Mitzrayim went down to the Mem Tes Shari Tumah. There's only 50. But they went Mem Tes Shari Tumah, meaning we were hooked up to our Avos and to the Neshamas and to Klal Yisrael, to the Rebbeinu Shalom, by a strand. HaKadosh Baruch Hu rescued us at the last strand. So that's the Mem Tes Shari Tumah. When we went through the days of Sefer Haber before Matan Torah, unlike copper wires, they're organic, they grow. We were able to put those strands back into place until we got to Matan Torah, where we were completely hooked up. And that would have been even the Geula. We were so hooked up, except we did the Bais cut again. So what we're talking about here is hook up. Pick your muscle, but I don't know if one of the strands in the electrical wiring goes off, if you'd see a difference. But let's say, if you have a speaker system in your car and it's a little bit, a couple of the strands broke here and there, so you start hearing so it's like that. You don't get the same connection in the same way. So we're talking about connectivity here. So this is the idea of getting hooked up. Shekol b'china me'agimel elu means nefesh ruach neshama tiskasher ba'b'china shel yoina hooks up to the b'china which is on top of it. Kedei shal yidei yuchal adam la'lois liskasher mimatzah l'malu. The beauty of this is that you have access now to the highest worlds because you're hooked up. Little by little, if you write Vaskei, B'Torah, B'Dasa, Yisparach Shmai, B'David, you do mitzvahs, you learn. B'Tara Slibai, Avosai, Yerasai. These are all things which you're able to be connected. The person can be connected spiritually. You see, you go to a tzaddik, let's say, and the tzaddik has Ruach HaKodesh. It's not Nevuah. Nevuah is here. This is the place of Ruach, this is the place of Nefesh. This tzaddik is able to access Ruach. So hence it's Ruach HaKodesh. It's not Nevuah, it's Ruach HaKodesh. The Gemara says even though we don't have Nevuah nowadays, the Gemara said $100, still, B'shtab Shebabaskel, Afal B'Sheit Baskel, B'shtab Sheburuach HaKodesh. There's Ruach HaKodesh, that there's this ability that maybe we all have a little bit of being able to access a higher place. Not like Nevuah, or Kodesh Baruch Hu speaking straight to you. It's a Ruach HaKodesh, you access the Ruach. But you can go elevate yourself higher. Ad she'yala v'yizdabek b'tzror hachayim kiv'yachol es Hashem l'kech yisparach shmai l'fi shar shabbat regosai. You could get to the sharish of your neshama possibly, which is HaKadosh Baruch Hu's world. I think all this has very practical ramifications. Let's get the words. Zoisvoi nacheres, even more. Yesh kama, and this is really our sugya. There are certain averos which are so chamor that if you're chote ba'achas mehena nischayva kores, oyavadoin chas v'shalom. Now, kares, according to the way we're understanding, makes a lot of sense. The word at least makes a lot of sense, because kares means what? Cut off. So, meaning if the whole thing is to be connected, so kares means you're disconnected. There's a disconnect.
How is Avadon this week?
What's avadon? What's
Something
avadon?
from kares.
Something different. That's it. So, oy kares, oy avadon. I want to explain that. Oy kares, oy avadon. V'inyan HaKaresus. So let's first, here's the seder what we're going to do in the next 20 minutes here. There's the Nefesh Hachaim explaining Kares, and Leyeser Beer. I just want to learn with you the Ramban who explains what it is. Nobody's arguing here as far as I know. It just explains, and then the Rambam says what to do with it in Hilchos Shiurim. So that's my sequence here. Inyan HaKaresu. What is Kares? Shebechinas HaNefesh Nifsak V'Nichras Mishar Shoy Ha'elyon. Remember, Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama. Where's the disconnect? Where have you shorted the circuit? And the answer is where? Nefesh? Between Nefesh and Ruach. Okay. How do we know that? Because the pasuk says, "Tikares as ha-nefesh hahi." Mikarev Haba. So there's a disconnect. V'yadatek hachevel, one is cutting the rope or the pipe. Shahaya kasher of a dubak boy, which was your lifeline. Ad heina, until this point, al yadei his kashers, and now the way we've been explaining it. And here we have some zayars. Because of the zayar truma, minor has Baruch Hashem, a Hebrew translation. I'm going to skip to it. It says, "V'yesh nefesh." There is a nefesh, a kasabay v'nichrasa ha-nefesh hahi, malifnei Hashem. Nichrasa ha-nefesh hahi. Milafanai. Mahu milafanai, asks the Zayar. Lichrasa ha-nefesh hahi. Think about the pasuk for a second. Lichrasa. When I get to these pasuk, I'm like in denial. I don't want to hear about it. So let's just face it for a minute. Lichrasa, a person eats chas v'shalom on Yom Kippur. So that's where it says that. Person does a be'ila asura, which is chayiv kares, right? Person baal shasish. So these kind of things. So v'nichrasa. Let's analyze the pasuk. Ha-nefesh hahi, nefesh bilfanai. What's that bilfanai? Yeah. What does that mean? Nichrasa nefesh hahi bilfanai. So simple shot is that the person is getting his or her Yadika from me, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Bilfanai, and now no longer hooked up, no longer attached. You're working on maybe reserve emergency battery supply. It's like, you unplug your alarm clock, it doesn't lose time. You have still a little bit of time to go through and plug it in. You notice that? The new alarm? Right? A little bit of time, backup.
I think just to understand this correctly in terms of the mashal that has been given before, it would then appear that all the spiritual health still exists in its purest and original form, and really where the defect or the effect is going to take place with kares is more in a physical aliveness way, so we're less alive.
Excellent. Not only are less alive, but the Gemara says that sometimes a person is chayiv kares, so the Gemara says that Rava made a big birthday party for himself when he was 60 years old. And he said, they asked him, why make such a big party for when you're 60 years old? So he says, they said, I'm not chayiv kares. If I made it till 60, I'm not chayiv kares. So Rava said to Rava, that's not right. That's a great Gemara. Could be, yeah. Could be your chayiv kares. Yeah, you find many Rishonim living till 80 and 90 and 100 years old. So what? What does that mean? So that itself needs to be explained. But it's a great machlekes Rav and Rabbi Berel Wein. Bahu bilfanai frek the Zayar shalei shayra aleha haruach al hanefesh hahi. What bilfanai means, says the Zayar, that the ruach, remember nefesh, ruach, neshama, the ruach is not hooked up to the nefesh. Ukishar ruach eina. This is your words. Ukishar ruach eina shara al hanefesh So what happens? Ein lenefesh chibur klal b'mashal lamala. My nefesh is here. It's walking around like a chicken without a head, but it's walking around. But there's something wrong. But it's not hooked. It's not hooked up to the ruach on top of it. In parentheses, the Zohar says, "Ve'eno yodas me'advarim sheba'olam ha'elyon." No connection to the Shemayim. V'hu kenefesh ha'behemos. Like a behemoth. Behemoth is alive. You're alive. Then he says, this is the beautiful Bekiyas of the Nefesh Hachaim, Ein Bilikutei Torah, that's the Arizal Parshas Boy, but Mechilta Parshas Boy, but like Parsha Tisisa, but Besifri Parshas Balaisa, Parshas Shlach, but Nifrasa, Ein Hachrasa, Ella Hafsaka. And so they all say the same thing. The Ein Hachrasa, I'm not going to look up all those things, but Ein V'Nifrasa, very Meduyak, it means to cut off. You've cut off, you've cut the pipe. Zeu Shekasav Yeshayahu said, Nun Tes Beis, the avonos are mavdil, meaning it's not getting through. So you're living off tumah, you're living off klipa. Ein Beis Chaim, Shaar Klolos Habio, Shaar Yechudim, Avodos, Tanakh. Okay, all the Marmakaitis.
Question.
Yes.
If you are connected, so what's normal when you're not connected? It's the nefesh bahamas.
Not connected.
We're not connected.
And
when you
alive.
are connected, is it still nefesh bahamas, or it has an added value to it?
Yeah, of course.
What's that called?
According to Balatanya, the Nefesh Bahamas is there. That's the base.
Mm-hmm.
Now the question is, are we in business class? Are we hooked up to the Nefesh Elikis? Nefesh Elikis, then that's the top part of the Nefesh, which can hook up to the Ruach, which can hook up to the Neshama. But the Nefesh Bahamas itself can live.
But does it become a different? Is my nefesh bahamas the same as the guy's
Yes.
nefesh bahamas?
Yes.
So.
Yes. And Nefesh Bahamas is not to be confused with the Yetzer Hara. It's a different story. So, so listen, we need to learn, because we're talking math and charts and diagrams. Let's talk tachlis. What does it mean? So let me jump you to this Ramban, which is, I often go back to this Ramban. The Ramban wrote a book about this, by the way, called Shaar HaGamul. It's important enough for him to write a book about what Shaar, Einish, Olam Haba, etc. Not only is it not a book, the Ramban, not only is it not a book that most people read, but go try to buy one. It's very difficult to the subject's just not popular. It's just not popular. It's not like one of those things people do with Nekudos and a lot of footnotes on the bottom. I think there's a reason for that too, which I will try to explain before we finish here today. But the Ramban, well, the pasuk says in Parshas Achrimos, this is what we read on Yom Kippur. And on Yom Kippur we read the Parsha of Arayos. Now, first of all, let me just make this simple statement. Why do we read the Parsha of Arayos on Yom Kippur? The furthest thing from anybody's mind Yom Kippur is the Arayos. So the answer is, what we read is not about Arayos. What we're reading Yom Kippur is Karetz. What we're reading is that there is a situation that one cuts off themselves from their source of life, spiritual life, no longer connected. And Yom Kippur is all about being connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the toggle of Kares or not Kares is exactly what Yom Kippur is about. It's not about Arayos, it's about Kares. And Kares is about connection and disconnection. So the Torah says two things that happen. Two things that happen. It says all the things that you're not allowed to do. As Zocher Leisishka Mishkavei Isha Tayevahi. Everything has a different name. Interesting, everything has a different name. The person engages in Mishkav Zocher. He treats a man like a woman. Toevahi. That's a Toeva. Toeva is worse than an Avera. A Toeva is worse than an Avera. It's what does it mean worse than an Avera? It's Toeva.
Repugnant.
Huh?
Repugnant?
Right. No, because somebody called me a couple of months ago, that a rabbi, on my opinion on something. He said that that traditionally the president of his shul is not Shomer Shabbos. Okay, you know, do the best you can. So it's the president of the shul, the president of Shomer Shabbos. But the president is not Shomer Shabbos. Okay, so the president's term's over, and the next guy comes in, and he's also not Shomer Shabbos, but he's gay.
Yeah.
So, so the community argues that, well, you know, not Shomer Shabbos or gay. Point is, not keeping the Torah in our Takanon, what's it called, in our charter. It's okay not to be frum, right? So, but you know, Mali, that if he's not Shomer Shabbos or he's not only is he gay, but he's a big advocate for gay rights and all that. So I said, no. This cannot be like Eida Dover Tzorachim. So he says, okay, how do explain to this? I say because it's a toeva. It's a different thing. Toeva means it's scorned, it's pushed away. It's a different. First of all, it's hard to be machalik between one wrong and another wrong once you go that route. But still, toeva is toeva. Like toeva is toeva. I'll say somebody's intermarried, president of the shul. I guarantee you there are many Orthodox shuls with intermarried presidents. It's different, you know, could be it's less of an aveira than being Kollel Shabbos. But there's something.
And the Torah gave it a shame toeva.
Toeva.
It's a toeva.
Toeva.
He's pushed away.
You pushed us away. Here's your chance. Here's your chance to be toeva. Here's your chance to be toeva. I hate it. You hate it, right? Toeva. Anyways, but uvachol behema loisiten shchavtecha l'tamava. Person is, I don't know, I forgot what's called in English. Person has a relationship with an animal. Bestiality. Or v'isha loisameh lifnei behema l'riva. Man, a woman. So here it says not toeva tevelhu. Who's that? That's not a toeva. That's tevel. What's tevel? Tough, base, mafet. What does it mean?
Thanks.
Rashi says, Lashain Kadesh ve'erva v'niyuf.
Again?
Lashain tevelhu. Lashain Kadesh, like Lysia Kadesha. Ve'erva v'niyuf.
Rabbi, the one in one point, start with the Eva, the eye next.
What?
By move of a coin, so that tablet
Yeah, the Mishnah. Ve'api al tavlisam. Tevelhu lashem belila ve'irvu. Rashi says zera adam v'zera behema. Very good. Very exactly what he said. Tevelhu lashem belila ve'irvu zera adam v'zera behema. You're mixing up the bria. Tevelhu, like you're messing up the bria. It does not a toev. Tevelhu. Interesting. I don't know if the words are better. Al tatamu b'chol. This is, by the way, talking about when we come into Eretz Yisrael. That's why I'm sending the goyim out of Eretz Yisrael, because they do those things, so you don't do these things. What's going to happen is you're going to be Matam Eretz Yisrael, and Vitaki Haaretz Es Yoshvel, and these people will be spit out of Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael. You see, because we were talking before about you can live, a person can live without being hooked up, but not in Eretz Yisrael. In Eretz Yisrael, ultimately, it won't work, as we've seen throughout history. Ultimately, Eretz Yisrael, you have to be hooked up to live here, because otherwise, Vitaki Haaretz Isa. There's a lot of times, like the big Yerida that we find is not so much about people making decisions to do Yerida. It's about Vitaki Haaretz Isa, who says you have the schus to live in Eretz Yisrael.
Be Jew and non-Jew.
Well, it says before that the non-Jews were spit out because they did these things. Mashma, if they would have behaved, they would have been able to.
This is the Ram.
I'm in the Chumash.
So there's a mitzvah clues, right?
Yeah.
So if he does this in Chutzlaritz, it's not so bad.
No, but he won't get thrown out of Eretz Yisrael. He's already out of Eretz Yisrael. In other words, when you hear, that's why I'm saying here the Torah is talking to the Klal Yisrael that's moving into Eretz Yisrael. that you have to understand the terms of relationship with the Aretz here, that there shouldn't be a Vitaki Ha'aretz Eisam, that there's such a thing as the earth spits you out. Ushmartem atem es chukosei es mishpatai v'loisasa mikol ha'toyei v'sa'ela ha'israch hager hagar b'soyechem. So finish, because a ger doesn't have bad samacheluk in Eretz Yisrael, but if he behaves with kedusha, he's part of Eretz Yisrael. He'll have part of Eretz Yisrael. Whereas somebody who Shevet Yisachar, Shevet Zavulun, whatever, you have a real cheluk in Eretz Yisrael, but you're cutting off. There has to come through Nefesh Ruach Neshama. He has kol ha'toyevus ha'elu ha'el asuan she'aretz ha'sher lifneichem. This is what the Canaanim did. V'tit ma'aretz. V'loisagi aretz eskem v'tamach ha'moisim kasher ka es ha'goy ha'sher lifneichem. You don't want to get cut off from Eretz Yisrael as did the goy who came before you. Kol ha'sher yaseh. Now here's the pasuk. Ki kol ha'sher yaseh mikol ha'toyevos ha'elu. So now we're talking about kol ha'toyevos ha'elu. A person's doing a toiv, a person's disconnecting themselves from Eretz Yisrael, and anybody who does this, kol ha'asher yaseh, again, it's the Torah talking, mikol ha'toyevos ha'ela v'nichrasu ha'nefashos ha'osos mikarav ha'am. Now listen to these words. Karetz, v'nichrasu ha'nefashos, not milafanai, ha'osos, which are doing this, mikarav ha'am, from amongst their people.
So even though it was called Tevel before, now it's called Toivos.
They're all forms of Toyeva, Rashi says. Ushmartem es mishmarti v'lifilti asesh mechukos ha'toyevos asher nasu lifneichem le'sitam avam ani Hashem elokeichem. So what you have here in this parsha of Torah that we read on Yom Kippur, what you have in this parsha of Torah, this parsha Kana, is the secret to Klal Yisrael living in Eretz Yisrael. And it's not just to lead a good, healthy life. You need to be connected. But here's what's so fascinating about otherwise v'nichrasu. Now doesn't seem, even though these things are chayiv kares, these things are chayiv kares. Mishkav zafir chayiv, but it's a v'nichrasu here. He's talking about mikarav amam. So says the Ramban on this pasuk as follows. V'nichrasu ha'nefashos ha'osos mikarav amam.
This is in the Shaar.
No, this is the Ramban al Makom. Zaroin, I'm saying in the Shaar Gmul is Myrich on this, but this is like in a language which is easy to, unavoidable. It's right here. Zaroin nichras v'yamav nichrasin. What does it mean? Lashon Rashi. What does kares mean here? Zaroin nichras. Kares in this case means Zaroin nichras. Intermarriage, assimilation. Zarai nichras, your family will not continue. The Yamav nichrasim, your own personal life can be shortened. L'shen Rashi, that's what Rashi says. V'hine, says the Ramban as follows. V'hine bakrisus b'Torah shloisha inyan. This is developed in terms of clarity. There are three types shloisha inyanim by kares. Ha'echad, listen carefully. One type of kares, which you find a little bit earlier, v'nichras ha'ish hahu. Hasheni, shenamar bahem, v'nichrasu ha'nefashos ha'osos. Also the same in the second, v'nichrasu ha'nefesh hahi milafanai. Remember, the first case is v'nichras ha'ish. Halka. The second one is v'nichrasa ha'nefesh. So the first case is a case of kares of the ish gets cut off, and the second one it says the nefesh gets cut off. V'ashlishi shenamar b'hami kares ti kares ha'nefesh hahi avoyna ba. V'ha'avadati is ha'nefesh hahi mikaravama. That's our pasuk. Says the Sifri, Levi Shoimer Kares B'chol Mokem Ve'en Yudei Mahu K'Shoimer V'Havadati Avodah Nefesh Limad Ala Kares She'eino Ela Avodah. So the Ramban explains as follows. These are the three possibilities: Ish, Nefesh, Nefashos, Ha'osos, Mikaravan. Three types of kares. Everybody with me?
Explain the third again.
I didn't explain it yet. Uveir Inyan, the pshat is, says the Rambam, let's see how far we can get into this. Let's say a person can't resist, so he eats some dam. Hard to imagine? No. You go into a, it's interesting, like the Arabs hold of Shvita, but they don't take out the dam. Right? So,
Drink it. They drink it.
really? So, explains a lot. But the shot in halal is that you see that hamburger and you can't resist it, so you have some dam, right? Or when I was a kid, the kosher butchers were a little bit schwach on the malicha part of it, so eat some dam. But chaylev is the same thing. Like it's a kosher animal, it's kosher shvita, but they didn't traber it correctly. So, basically you're talking about, 1950s Orthodox Jew. Eating chaylev and dam. So, v'hu tzaddik, but he's a tzaddik. V'ru by he's going to shul, Shabbos, kashrus, he's a good guy. Avol gavra tavasei alav nichshel ba'averahi, but he's doing something terrible, eating dam. So the halacha is, and that says the Ramban, Yikarsu Yamav, he's chayiv kares. Eating dam, you're chayiv kares.
Amazing.
Amazing. Amazing. Yikarsu Yamav, and what does that mean? V'yamos b'neurim kaidim she'agilu limei hazikna. Will not live a full life. The einish will be, this is what Rava was celebrating. I don't need any dam. I'm a good guy, and I never fell into something which was kares, so I made it limei hazikna. The Haim says the Ramban Shishim Shana. Let's talk about you won't make it to Zikna. In Pirkei Avos it says Ben Shishim Zikna. So make it to 60. So it means Ein Nafshe Bihi Kares. I'm here. Avayilai, it's even this person who didn't make it to 60 because he was chayiv kares. By the way, this is what Rabbi's kashas. Many Rishonim make it past 60. So he explains that's not a kasha. For a tzaddik not to make it to 60, that would have been his. He's okay, even though he ate dam, and even though Roiv of his life was mitzvahs, it was good for him yid. He's chayiv kares. His good deeds will be rewarded. Ki tzaddiku, because he's a tzaddik. And he'll also have tchiyas hameshim, hu ha'olam she'achrei ha'tchiyah. Ubezeh Omar, this pasuk is talking about v'nichras ha'ish hahu, life as we know it. Ish, who's supposed to live till 80, is not going to make it to a zikna. That's v'nichras ha'ish hahu. That's the most, the easiest form of kares is v'nichras ha'ish hahu. But let's say the same person, the different person does the same aver. But the second person is not a firm guy at all. He's not doing mostly mitzvahs and mostly good things. Let's say you have two people are doing the same deed, eating dam. But one of them is mostly living a life of Torah and mitzvahs, and the other one's not living a life of Torah and mitzvahs. Says the Ramban. Now you've you've really gone deeper into it. It's not just the ish. You've now the decay has reached the nefesh hachotes la'achashitiparin minaguf he nichreses michaye olam hanashamas. Now you've cut off not just your life, your physical life, nefesh, like nefesh abahamas, as you're saying, but now you've already criffed into the real nefesh, that where it's connected. Meaning the person not living correctly altogether, and then he does something which is chayiv kares. That's like the straw that broke the camel's back. This is what the Torah means when it says v'nichras ha'nefesh hahi milfonai, like one step higher. On him it says avadon. Now these people, and this is the Gemara, these people that did the worst type of kares, they don't have kares aguf. In other words, a person dies from kares, God forbid, when you're 59 years old, that's a sign of a good tzaddik. Whereas whereas if a person would be rubai averos and do something, I mean, a bigger tzaddik is you don't do something with your chayiv kares, but b'mezid. But I don't know why Rava had to make a birthday party. It's hard to imagine that he nashed on chametz on Pesach or something like that. But okay, who knows what people think in their lives. But that's the ish. Whereas if a person is rubai averos, so that person is koris as hanefesh, and he's not koris as ish, so therefore he can live a long time. Get it? So person lives till 70, 80, 90 years old. There's no right to anything. Ein lahem koris begufan. Could be a dirty old man. It's possible. Kinyan Shnemar, V'yesh Russia, Kohelet says, Ma'arich Barasa. Some people could be Rishayim until they're 100. No problem. It's only the tzaddik who does an Aveira, which is Chayiv Kares, which is going to lose his zikna.
But who's worse off? The guy that's been for the most part, they're going to
Obviously, the Russians are worse off. The Russians worse off.
Russia's worse off.
So you live a few more years, but you cut off eternity.
But what do you
Eternity.
What if I'm talking about a typical American Jew who's not a Russia, so
No
to speak?
mazid. There's no mazid there.
He doesn't know, like, he's in a Shnishba.
Okay, so we're not talking about. All this is talking about the mazid.
And all this is
That's
talking
not
about
chayiv.
asilab. It's not talking about a person could be.
No, the first case is talking about here.
But I'm saying he's cut off, but he might believe he's still spiritual. He might be having. He's certainly having a laugh in this world.
Right.
He's not suffering anything by this charis.
That he knows. He is suffering because he's not connected. It's different. His life is different. Listen, let's make one thing clear that I don't want to. If anybody here is about tshuva, I hope we all are. It's talking about not b'mezid. You're not talking about b'mezid. That's a whole different halacha. Like what we did. Shoygeg. It's or not knowing nishvisendik. It's a whole different. It's a whole different story. It's a whole different chapter in the Rambam. We're talking about somebody who knows better. Somebody who knew better.
Would it even technically be categorized as kares in the case of shoygeg?
No.
Yeah.
It has to be amazing. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Tinik Shinish was amazing. Is not amazing. But that's a bad guy. So we're talking about people that are aware. So somebody who's avanoisa merubin mischiyaisa, ubechlolon poishe umaysa olam begufa. Amarapapa ba'aver klaim be'erva min harayis yarden legehenam. So what happens with these people? What's this chorus do? Doesn't lose his whole chelik olam haba. Yarden legehenam v'nidanim sham shnei maser chaydish. These are the guys that go to hell. Meaning you lived your life. You were aware, and afal pikein I decided that I'm going to do most of my life is going to be about averas. That doesn't do it yet, but then you go in your chayiv kares. You went too far, and you did something that's chayiv kares. So this person now is detached on the nefesh level, and the only thing for this person to do, erva, person's bala erva, yarden legehanim in dainam sham shnei maser chaydish.
That's including umasol.
That's what he says. La'achar shnei maser chaydish. What happens after 12 months? Gufan kala v'nishmasan nisrefes. That's the complete disconnect from the chorus is like in Olam Haba, in other words. The chorus is in Gehenna. Am I freaking everybody out? Are you okay with this?
But is Rabbi static?
I don't want to,
What's chorus for a goy?
No.
Oh.
One second. Gufan kalav and ishmasan nisrefes v'ruach mifazartan. Listen to this one. Tachas kapais raglei hatzadikim. You messed up your goof, so the goof is not going to become b'tchias hamesim. What will happen is that you go to Gehenna, and in that Gehenna, so whatever that is, in that Gehenna, so what happens is your remains become batal, but still do good things. You enhance actually the tzaddikim. Your good parts have to go somewhere, so they go to the tzaddikim, and the tzaddikim get up at Tchias HaMesim. They have more power than when they die. V'yesh kamer charis nachamor. Let me just finish this paragraph. V'yesh charis chamer. Then there's a worse kind of charis. Shenichras gufay v'nafshay V'hu nemar boy ki dvar Hashem bozev et soisav hofer yikares tikares boilam hazeh tikares boilam haba. That's a Gemara in Shlosh Gimel. Loimar shehu yamus b'noyar. You don't live long, and you don't even go to Gehenna. That's the good part about that. There's no Gehenna. You're just finished. Your life became worthless. It's just like a worthless life. So, yeah. There's nothing finished. You were a mistake.
That's the Mikara Rama.
Huh?
That's the Mikara Rama.
Yeah, that's Vein Lachelig Loilam Haba Vein Kefal Akaris has that number. That's Ikaris Tikaris. Caravan. Elabinian Avodah. This only happens with Avodah Zarah. Avodah Zarah. That's it.
These I don't know even what to call them, Nefesh Hachaim, whatever they are. They come back if you're brilliant.
No.
That's it.
That's it. But you're talking there about somebody, see, like Avodah Zarah is a very top-heavy Avera. Because Avodah Zarah, he does say that, puts on tefillin and goes to the mikveh every day and does all this stuff. But he's Ovid Avodah Zarah. That's here. You're Ovid Avodah Zarah. So now you've decapitated yourself because the whole connection is gone. It doesn't make a difference what you've done. So there's certain Averas of Avodah Zarah, not even Arayis, not even Shvichas Dam, by the way, as the sefer, but Avodah Zarah. Avodah Zarah, if you really worship Avodah Zarah, so that's complete disconnect. And you're disconnected both in this world and in Olam Haba, and the Olam HaNeshamas, and Tchias HaMesim, and everywhere. That's completely disconnected. So that's what the Gemara says. Ein lo chelik lo Olam Haba, ve'elo she'ein lahem chelik lo Olam Haba. And the Mishnah Sanhedrin, the Chelik has a whole list of people, she'ein lahem chelik lo Olam Haba. They're so fundamental. It's not something I do, it's something I am. Very fundamental Averas. I'd like to finish this Ramban, and the Balatanya has a Pirush on it, which I think is very, very important. But the Rambam says clearly, the Kulam Shas Tshuva, Kulam Shas Tshuva, Tshuva Sem Iskabelas. There's no exception to the rule. So the Gemara says that Gemara Sanhedrin says there's certain people that it's ain. And I just want to explain this point. Ain mas speaking biyatei lasis tshuva. I'll never do tshuva. But that's not a fact. That's a prediction. And the prediction is that if your goof is cut off from your nefesh and you're not getting the yipach of nishmas chaim any longer, so what's going to make you do tshuva? You're so far removed and divorced from that whole pipeline. So what's going to make you do tshuva? So the Gemara is saying a prediction of ein mas speaking biyadei lasis tshuva. Probably you'll never do tshuva.
External forces, a person just talks you into it in the mahalach.
So you do tshuva. But it's gonna. But ein mas speaking biyadei onto himself. Biyadei onto himself. He's not going to do tshuva. What?
You need to know you need to help him. Maybe.
Or God.
Yes.
Susavos. But this is the Rambam makes clear both in Parak Shishi and in Parak Asiri. The Rambam Hilchos Tshuva. The Rambam makes very, very clear that there's no such thing as somebody who can't do tshuva. Menashe HaMelech did tshuva. There's no such thing as somebody who can't do tshuva. You can do tshuva. But ein mas speaking biyadei lasis tshuva means it's a very hard thing to do. Why is it a hard thing to do? Because once you've disconnected yourself, I mean, like you don't just look if somebody's like so far removed. We all know people like that. They're so far removed from anything Jewish. Maybe they're even Oivdei Avodah Zarah. And they're chayiv kares, like everything. They're so far removed. It's like, what's pshat tshuva? So unless some, Lubavitcher grabs them, or Schlusavos, or somebody in the Wolfson camp, or something like that, unless somebody's going to chop it, it's an ein mas speaking biyadei lasis tshuva. So the chesed here is to take somebody which is so far away. I think Anizach Yisi was that a person being able to bring people in that are so far removed from anything. But again, we're not talking removed from Yiddishkeit. We're not talking about removed from Jewish values. We're talking about you've severed the goof from the nefesh. So can you save this life, or can you not save this life? That's the question. So ein mas speaking biyadei lasis tshuva. But if it's not saved, let's put it that way. If it's not saved, so then if you let things go on its natural way, Then it's kares. There's no olam haba, no olam hazard, no olam haba, no tzkis hamesa, no anything. This is the importance, by the way. The chashuv thing in Bikkur Cholim. Like no matter who, you go Bikkur Cholim. It's chashuv mitzvah Bikkur Cholim, but you see people are dying. You could say vidui with them. You could talk to them. Usually you could talk to them, and you could create one strand of connection. You can bring a person. You can mamish be mazakas somebody with a whole eternity, and sometimes in one sense. You have to be zocha. The person has to be zocha, and you have to be zocha to do it. But I think there is such a thing, no matter what the person did. There's such a thing as hakol kol Yaakov, that talking to somebody. But I tell you, like not everybody's like. I remember I was sitting with a chayla, and he said to me, it was just again, it was like somebody's in Russia, but he did know better, and he had just left everything, and over the years, married out and all kinds of things, and and he says to me, he says, "You're a rabbi." He says, "I'm very scared of what's happening in the next world." So that's to me here, Hurei Tshuva. And there was another guy there, a friend of his, standing there before I had a chance to say anything. He says, "Nothing, absolutely nothing." It's like you go to sleep and that's the end of it. And I thought to myself, like, so sad, like here a person is reaching out, like couldn't get that back. Once he said that, couldn't get it back. Here's a person reaching out for, I want to be part of the next world, and I'm just about to try to reconnect this, even a drop, and talk about it for a second. And this guy probably meant well, wants to make him feel good. Nothing, it's nothing. Just don't worry about it. You just like when you go to sleep, it doesn't hurt. That was his Shaar. So like, have to be zocha. You have to be zocha to do this and be zocha to that. And a good idea if you ever want to engage in this lemaisa is throw everybody else out of the room, because then you could have a connect. You could have a serious connect. Not the doctors, not the nurses, not anything. But the point is, there's tshuva for everybody. Tshuva for everybody. What we're talking about is what happens if you don't do tshuva. What happens if you don't go through Yom Kippur? What happens if It's also, by the way, interesting. Like a person doesn't keep Yom Kippur, chayiv kares. What does it mean chayiv kares? It's automatic. If you don't keep Yom Kippur is the day of connection. So if you don't keep Yom Kippur, so in what are we connected? It's a very difficult thing. So what we've learned, to sum up what we learned today, what we learned is that kares, it's all about connection, and kares is about disconnection. And what we're going to learn is that it can be a little bit disconnected. It could be a little bit chayiv kares also, not a whole chayiv kares. It could be, but every time a person does enough error, there's a bechin of kares, stopping something. Okay. Once again, I apologize for the out of character negativity here, but priority.